join in from the link, please join us from our live Facebook screening of this episode. Team Edudevs, can we start?
I think second student Brenda has also joined.
Good evening.
A very good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Rinda. Welcome to this show.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Team Edudevs, what is the delay in starting? Knowing the answers will help you in school. Knowing how to question will help you in life, says Warren Berger. Yes, that's the topic of our today's webinar, which is igniting curiosity through inquiry-based learning. A very good afternoon to one and all. We are, after a long time, I think about a sabbatical of 2 months, resuming our web series on futuristic education. And I'm delighted to welcome you to yet another episode of Futuristic Education, a web series which is dedicated to education, an Edudevs initiative in collaboration with Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham to enlighten and empower the education community in the education trends for the future. And this time, this episode is not city-based, but a state-based episode where we have representatives of 2 very, very prominent cities, Ambala and Karnal, who are invited to voice their views on pertinent issues of the 21st century education. I am Divyani Kapoor, and I'm your host and moderator for today. Without much ado, let me quickly introduce you to our esteemed and special panel of today. Today, we have with us Mr. Sudhir Katumala, Head Career Counseling, Directorate of Admissions from Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University. We welcome you, Mr. Katumala. Let us welcome Dr. Pooja Walia, who is the principal of Pratap Public School, Karnal, and she happens to be gracing the panel for the second time. From Ambala, we have Ms. Gosha Libran, a vice principal, Army Public School, Ambala. Welcome you, ma'am, to this episode.
Thank you so much.
Continuing the new tradition created in our recent webinars, we have with us a special youth panel. And yes, you've guessed it right. These are the students of these schools. We have with us Vaman Sablo, head boy, class 12, APS, Ambala. We have with us Srishti, head girl, 12th class 12, APS, Ambala. Please virtually welcome to them with a click on the clapping button. Vrinda, we have with us Vrinda, again school head girl, class 11 from Pratap Public School, Karnal. We have Ronit, who is the school captain, discipline, class 10. Welcome you, Vaman, Srishti, Vrinda, Ronit, to this special episode on igniting curiosity through inquiry-based learning. How often, you were told that curiosity killed that cat growing up? Even now, as parents, you see, we get to the why stage of our kids, and we are actually bombarded with millions of unending questions by our young, ignited minds. And instead of embracing them, what we often do is get frustrated, get irritated, snap them, or be impatient. We live in a world that is busy and one that seems to prefer conformity over questions. And that is a sad story. But this is detrimental to our kids and to all of us, to the coming education, to the newer system, to the newer era. We put their learning in a box and sadly sometimes curb their desire to explore the world around them. This brings us to the question, our teaching styles. And are we really igniting curiosity or killing the cat growing up? Let's hear it out from our panelists. And we first start with our ice-breaking question. One question will be addressed to all our three panelists, Mr. Sudhir Katumala, Ms. Pooja Walia, and Ms. Gosha. The time limit to answering this question, please adhere to 2 minutes, as there's a lot more coming in. So please don't spill all the beans in the first round. You see, inquiry-based learning is more than just asking a student what he or she wants to know. What is, in your opinion, inquiry-based learning? How significant do you think this pedagogical technique is in today's scenario? I would first ask this question to Mr. Sudhir. Yes, Sudhir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that introduction. And you set the stage well. You have made us on a tight spot, because today this topic is a much essential topic. Why? Because in the name of this competitive exams, in the name of getting higher grades and marks, a lot of students are forced just to be behind marks by harding things. That's my take on this, because I was also part of that kind of student era where I concentrated only on marks and concepts, but somehow somebody enlightened me. Inquiry-based learning predominantly is not just about asking questions. It's about increasing their hunger to learn the topic more. It's about making them more curious. Actually, the first topic, I mean, you might be asking the next question, what is curiosity means. So making them curious about a topic is very much vital. Suppose a teacher is coming into a class and asking the student about a scientific topic, just helping them understand just the formulas, definitions, and all is not enough. Making them understand the real life applications of that topic will increase their questioning, will increase their observation skills. For example, I'll give a small science example which I'll give is, if I ask a student what kind of pressure is there on a cylinder, or what kind of pressure is there inside a cuboid, he won't even show interest in it. But we reframe the question in a different way, saying why we see a lot of oil tankers, milk tankers, water tankers in cylindrical in shape. See, you see, the application oriented questioning is very much important. Once students understand what exactly is happening around us, what kind of principles are getting used in our day-to-day life, what kind of scientific examples you can take. When once a teacher promotes this kind of way of teaching, automatically student will start asking more questions. And it's not only about questioning, it's about observing their surroundings, it's about investigating. A lot of things are involved in this inquiry-based learning, which I feel is not just about asking questions. It's in a broader perspective a student should think to understand, to gain knowledge. Once a student develops this, it's very easy for him to replicate that knowledge, whatever he gained through this inquiry-based learning. That's a brief explanation which I can give. I think the principals might have observed on on-ground level, schools day-to-day life, and students might have a different perspective also.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sudhir. And actually, I was listening to when you were talking about the cylindrical shape of the cans carrying milk and all, and it's all about observing, investigating, and then, satiating your own queries by, understanding the world around you. Thank you so much. I move on to Miss Pooja Walia, that what is she has to say, as very rightly Mr. Sudhir said, that they'll be giving us the real picture as they are in the scenario. Yes, Miss Pooja.
Yeah, so I guess after the brief explanation that Mr. Sudhir has given, I would like to ask this question to all the audience first. Recently, India bought certain cheetahs from Namibia. So can we ponder and discuss why only Namibia? Why not any other country than Namibia? Now, I'm sure you'll be forced to think. And this is just a way to build that curiosity so that you dig into the things. And this is what I call as inquiry-based learning.
Excellent, excellent. I think, ma'am, you summed up by giving example and actually demonstrating what inquiry-based learning then is. Thank you so much. Thank you. And ma'am has ignited the minds, and let's all ponder as to why the cheetahs were brought in from Namibia. And we shall have the answer punched in soon in our chat box. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Ms. Gosha, what is it that you bring on the table as to what is inquiry-based learning and why should we do it? Why should we practice?
Yeah. Thank you for the question, ma'am. And I must say, I was listening very keenly, and I could, I was really enjoying the points of the first given by the first two speakers, and I'm at a loss to give you something which is actually already summed up, but then deep into the thoughts, if I were to define inquiry-based learning for the young students who are here, I'm sure even if it is something which is a repetition, it will give them an edge and usher them on for a clearer and a better understanding of the definition. Inquiry-based learning for me would be an opportunity for the child to engage, which in the present education system is somehow sidelined. The teacher is the main orator, the teacher is the main active participant in the classroom, and she or he is the person who's giving them the information and kind of not igniting their curiosity. He or she is probably giving them everything, so that, because our education system is based on scoring marks on the written pattern, keeping the results in mind, the teachers are almost hoodwinking the entire classroom management and giving them everything on their for them to learn, and the curiosity part is somehow sidelined. So for me it is a big opportunity for the child to engage in an inquiry, to engage in a research, of course guided by the teacher, so that a deep learning takes place, and instead of rote learning, so that a deeper understanding takes place instead of a superficial learning. So here the child is guided towards innovation because he's researching. Here the child is guided towards honing his or her thinking skills, because he's supposed to look out for some answers. He's supposed to dig out for information. And in the entire process, the engagement of the student increases. So obviously, when the engagement of the student increases, as Sir rightly said, that it's just not asking questions, it is the interest of the student which builds up. That is inquiry-based learning through the process of questions, through guided instruction from the teachers. And as ma'am said, giving a very a good example of cheetahs. If I were to ask a question, why has Russia attacked Ukraine, and why has could it not be the other way? Why was Russia the first one to attack? Could it not be solved at an earlier level? Could it not have been avoided? So if such questions are given to children, and they are, though it's a contemporary topic for the world politics, they'll definitely dig out information and they'll understand more than anybody else, rather than what I give them in the class, or rather than what the teachers give them in the class. They'll give you more. In fact, they enrich the teachers also at times. So it's a novel method. It is an active method where it is the teacher's role is of course there, but somehow the children are also part and parcel of that classroom interaction and learning and teaching.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Definitely, you were not, last but not the least, because you said something very important, that the guided, technique, that becomes very important. From Mr. Sudhir spoke about, the observation, the application, and investigating, understanding their environment, and the real life application. And Ms. Pooja gave a live example, and you did very rightly said, it's not you. And also you can't just leave them in the open with their questions to dig out their truths. It has to be very, very guided, as I would say, facilitated by an educator, who would then be truly empowered to deal with this kind of a pedagogy. Thank you so much. Before I move on to the second segment of one-on-one round, and I would like to begin this segment with our youth element in the panel. And my first question is to Ms. Srishti. Hello, Srishti.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. So, Srishti, my question to you is, like, if as a student, I'm too inquisitive and, and keep asking questions, the class does. I remember when I would ask and wanted, and I very clearly remember, I was very curious, and the class would look at me like, not again, don't waste time. And definitely somewhere the teacher also was like, okay, you can meet me after the class. And that after the class never happened. So how do I as a student satisfy myself in this scenario? And does this happen with you all as well? And or if doesn't, how do you react to those who ask questions?
Actually, I'm also the part of that only. Firstly, I would like to encourage those students who just get up in the class, who ask their questions. Like, because it's a big deal in itself, because not everyone has that courage to stand up in the class and ask questions in front of everyone. They thought that it could be very silly for them, like the question may be silly for them to ask in class, or else people would make fun of them, the classmate would make fun of them. So asking questions in class is itself a, what I feel is good. Other thing, like, do not disturb the class. If you have facing doubts, you can just note it down. You can consult the teacher later on. You can ask for the free periods. But sometimes teacher is not busy, so we can go through our books, because sometimes through books only we got those doubts which we are facing. Secondly, the teacher, what the teacher is teaching, we face doubts from those only. We don't pay attention when the teacher is teaching, and later on we face the same doubts, the what the teacher had told. And I guess that would be the right time where the teacher completes one topic and he or she asks that whether you have understood the topic or not, and then you can raise your hand and you can ask the questions related to it. Otherwise, if the you have doubts, other doubts, like which is different from the topic which is taught in the class, could be asked later. Like, you can write down it when you are studying something, which topic, and you face some doubts is there, you can just note it down and ask it later on. And I'm sure, like, any of the teacher would not deny it. They definitely will sort it out. So my teachers, definitely they do sort it out in their free periods when they get time. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, Srishti said that, note down your doubts, and maybe. But my question is, Vaman, if I could ask you the same question, and I say that I have this curiosity, which might also be a question of the others. Do I wait, or do, if I wait, then probably I'm killing the curiosity and that might not remain. Then do I need to be in that structure? The ideal situation which Srishti gave is a very, very ideal situation, a very structured way. But here we are talking about curiosity. So, Vaman, what is, very quickly, in 1 minute, what is your take on that? You have another question coming in, but for this, just one, 2 lines on it. Yes.
Ma'am, as Srishti said, like, you can ask in between, but as you said, like, we not know, like, every other child is having that same question or not. So, like, we should ask the teacher personally, like, afterwards the class. But in the class, it may waste time of other children too. And basically,
Okay. Thank you so much. So let's ask the same question to our principals. We move on to Miss Pooja. Miss Pooja, when, even though accepted as one of the best pedagogies, the IBL can become time consuming and it can hamper the curriculum progression calendar for a teacher. As we were discussing, that if suddenly a question comes, or even if we are integrating this in our curriculum, can you suggest and highlight some common obstacles, first of all, which emerge in the implementation of the inquiry-based learning? What could be those?
Right. So I think I'll start with the first concern which our young panelists have mentioned. I think a good teacher is the one who will make they'll make option available in the teaching plan that these are the minutes in one period which I'll dedicate to taking the doubts of the class. Number one, I think this way the teacher would not say कि चलो आपसे बाद में बात करते हैं. So our lesson plan can incorporate that section of interaction with the students, wherein the students are encouraged to ask a question. That's number one. Number two is the theme of our discussion is inquiry based. So that means the pedagogy or the teaching methodology of a teacher should be such that we ignite the curiosity amongst the young minds. So my question I should not wait for the questions from the students after my lecture is over. Rather, I should start my lecture with a question so that my children are actually curious to know more. Maybe it is guided learning, as Bhusha ma'am said. I may probably throw a question and ask them to read at home and come back in the next class morning tomorrow, and we'll start with the answers which they have collected the day before. Or during my delivery of lecture, I may ask a question, and then I myself gradually build up that curiosity in them to listen to my answers and hints which I'll be giving. So it's kind of sharing the chunk of information very, very slowly and on periodicity within that one lecture. Teachers are artists, so we need to time management should be one sense where we are able to articulate our ideas to the students. So if anybody is facing an obstacle like that, it's the management part or planning part that needs to be probably done first. Yes, there can be vagueness. For example, when I asked about this question of the cheetahs being brought from Namibia, my focus area is that my child should be able to probably think of the geographical, climatic conditions between the two countries, or maybe the political equations between the two countries, or the political equation of the ruling party in the country. So that's exactly what I want my students to ponder upon when they get me the answer of this question. So I think a good teacher would always streamline so that the child is not distracted from the main topic which I want my child to be curious about. Otherwise, it is haywire. There are a lot of things that they can think and come up with.
Great. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would also like to hear Ms. Bhusha about this, that are you restricting the IBL technique to primary, or does it give you scope to integrate it to the senior classes as well?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. At the broadest level, just as Pooja ma'am mentioned, a teacher's lesson plan has to be the main guiding factor for her to initiate inquiry-based learning. How? For every subject, there are certain lessons which are a little compact, which are a little concise, which are project-oriented, which are manageable, for the teacher to give, to give the children questions on it after kind of giving them an orientation. Of course, the teacher cannot leave it. It's not, there's a myth. The myth is that is it for the students to, entirely do it? No. The teacher has to have an orientation session, an introductory session. Maybe she sums up the lesson, and thereafter she poses questions to them and tells them to, okay, go. Now you've got a broader understanding, find it out for yourself, and then come back and then initiate further discussions. So for every subject, I'm sure there are lessons which are a little concise and compact, and it should not be for every lesson. When we talk of syllabus completion, and when we talk of, as ma'am said, curriculum management with this inquiry-based method, there can be issues of time management. So if every teacher, every subject teacher was to look into her syllabus and sift out and select topics and lessons which can be used to generate in questions, which can be used to generate inquiries from the children, and engage the students, I think that would be more fruitful rather than implementing it for every lesson, which any method is not, I wouldn't suggest that every method for every lesson, but then for inquiry based, one can always select. Once selected, I'm sure the time management will not be an issue, because we are not doing it for every chapter. And so, secondly, I'll just take half a second more. Secondly, since it is it is one of the new approaches, and it leads to a child owning the subject. The sense of ownership from a child is important for the child to develop the interest in the subject. So if I am only talking, if I am only teaching, and I'm not, getting questions from children. It's one-sided. So this is definitely an important pedagogical practice, but then practically it can be executed for certain selected lessons. So the syllabus doesn't suffer, and time management is also in our own hands. Yeah. Thank you.
That means, thank you so much, ma'am. So that means a lot will happen when the educators, the teachers do a in-depth planning and identify the areas which can be effective for, inquiry based. Let me hear this out from Mr. Sudhir. Sudhir, when you talk about inquiry based, and you, as per what you said, honestly, learning itself has to be experiential, inquiry based. How is the scenario? Do you divide it in higher ed when you talk about it? How much it is implemented on? Is it implemented only in terms of the practical classes, and theory will then be a very traditional mode of transaction? How does it happen? Or how do you integrate IBL in higher ed?
So to answer the question, ma'am, in higher education, what we try to give is more practical approach to the students, more application oriented learning. That's what I told you. So what we try to do is, for example, as a university, we have a living labs program where a student for 1 month or 2 months, whatever he learned in classroom, we will take them to a rural area, make them understand the problem of their rural residents, whatever they are facing, and come up with a solution. They will come, report back to our campus. They will say, these are the problems, we can solve it like this. We can use this technology there. So like this, we give them a project then and there. We won't tell them what needs to be done in the rural area. We will just send them, just go, explore what kind of problems are there, just find out, come back to us, report to us, and give us the solution, what needs to be done. We will give you the resources to complete it. That's what we try to inculcate in higher education. But the main challenge, as far as I know, I can say, is the age. Why? Because if you just take a kid at the age of 5 or 6, whatever he sees something new. For example, my sister's kid, whenever I go home, he wants to take my phone, or he wants anything that is new to me. He wants to explore that. He is so much curious about learning about that. Even if I take him out, he will say, "What will ask him? What is that? Why is that man is sitting there?" Will be pondering with me with a lot of questions. And the same kid, once it comes to at the age of 15 or 16, he will be having that spark and initiative will be lacking. He will be having a laid back approach. He won't even ask anything. He will say, "Why? I need to ask him. This might be a wrong way, or it's unnecessary for me to know about that." So that spark and initiative might be lacking from the students' perspective, that I can say. Not all students, I'm saying. There are 50% students who lose this once they reach this stage. And one more thing is, all this inquiry-based learning is of most of a collaborative and teamwork exercises will be there. There are some language-oriented things which can't be given in an inquiry-based learning methodology. For example, I mean, English and suppose any other foreign language, it's difficult to have more inquiry-based learning strategies in language-oriented subjects. But if you are giving inquiry-based learning in other subjects, there is a difficulty in making all these people focused, all these people organized, all these people collaborate. It's very hard. It's a very hard task for a teacher, and it's a big problem for a teacher also to make these people focus and organize, to listen to that, or to at least solve the problem, whatever is put forward by the teacher. So, and important thing is they don't know when to stop. As a teacher, also, most of these people, students will be looking out for answers. They will be like, once a teacher has given an activity, they will be looking out for answers. But the main emphasis should be given to the question. What kind of different questions they are doing whenever we are giving an activity. So how many questions we can formulate based on the topic, that is the main important thing and the answer. So students will be only searching for answers, but we need to make them encourage more questioning. By that way, I think it will be more beneficial in student life. Yes.
Very well said. I think the 2 points that you brought up was, and if I look at the discussion where Pooja ma'am and Ms. Gosha was talking about, that 2 elements become, rather 3 become very important. One is that IBL, most of the time, it has to be collaborative, barring the language aspects. Collaborative becomes extremely important along with experiential. Second is planning on the part of the educators is very important. So educators have to come together, identify, zero down to certain parts of the curriculum which can go into, or topics which can go well with the inquiry base. So the role of educator becomes very, very important. And third is the designing of questions becomes extremely important, because it's questions that will trigger the curiosity of the students. Thank you so much, Mr. Sudhir. And I think the next question again, because we were talking something about the age specific. So I'll quickly go to our student panel list and then come back to you again, talking about the age of. So my next question is to Vrinda. Vrinda, as a student, for example, if I'm more interested in understanding why and how of something, but that is not enough to secure marks, because I'm unable to articulate answers as per the expectations of the teachers. So this is the gap. Like I am curious and I'm interested in understanding, but then when I start writing, I'm not getting marks. So the first thing to the curiosity balloon is, when you don't get marks. You may have all the curiosity in the world, but your report card says you're not performing. So what do you have to say on this? How would you tackle this problem?
Ma'am, it's like the classic human behavior. The problem of not being able to articulate the answers of certain questions, but knowing the concept is actually the most common problems among students, including me. I wouldn't really call it a problem because, according to me, conceptual learning is the most important part of learning. But in the work fields and the schools, it's really important to not only know the concepts, but also write it down and express it, just so the other people know that what we are talking about and that the concept is clear to us. The right words, we need the right words to make people understand our point, and that the concept that we know is actually that we know it. It's just that. Now the problem is, how do we fix it? The first way of solving the problem is by redoing the same concept over and over and over again. As we know, the Rome wasn't built in a day. And it takes time for a seed to grow, but we do have to nourish it every day. So for us, we should do it, redo the concepts again and again. And the second way, according to me, should be that you should repeat the concept, the questions, and or as well as the answers in the mirror, or say it out to yourself loud, so that you trust in yourself and have enough confidence that what you're writing and the concept you know is the right one. And I would also like to bring the concept of the practical learning, that if we know the concept and we also know that how it's practically worked, so then we'll be able to write it down, because I think it's the best way of doing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vrinda. I want to ask you, don't you think that why we give so much importance to writing? Why can't we change the assessment pattern to more of practical? Because I might know the concept, I understand, I know how to, I'm very good at hands-on, but my limit, I'm not able to express this on paper, does not mean that I do not know. So do you think, could the pattern of assessment be changed? Testing pattern, practical marks for that particular concept could be more, and the theory could be more objective. So there is a win-win situation for everyone. Do you think it can work? Yes, Vrinda.
Yes, ma'am. I think that will work.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Vrinda. And we really had some great insights. You were very clear and articulate in your thoughts, that, and you created a balance between understanding the concept through, experiential and collaborative and inquiry based, And also you balanced out, because marks and report card is an important parameter and measure of your understanding the concept, at least in this system of education. We really don't know how the future of education will, what will it show us. Thank you so much. I will again come to Mr. Sudhir. If we think back to your main objective, which is to create a hungry mind, and that how can students demonstrate that they've achieved that objective, what we were talking about, to Rinda? Was their curiosity triggered? Was it strong enough to guide them through a quest of knowledge acquisition? Were they able then to apply that knowledge? So a Harvard Business Review, while talking about higher curiosity quotient, indicates more flexibility and help build a greater ability to handle complexity. So my question to you is, could you throw some light on what is this curiosity quotient? And I remember you were talking about how this curiosity quotient might deteriorate as the age, increases. And you can also tell us, how can we maintain that this CQ?
Yes. So just to give an example, curiosity quotient can be maintained well in balance in the classroom. Is playing a small game before we start a topic. Like it's called the question game. Like how we do it is, suppose take global warming. I think all of you know about what is global warming is. I will give 5 minutes time for each student to just formulate their own questions about global warming. First thing is the word, only words which you can use in the question is how, why, what. How many questions you can prepare? Please tell me. In 5 minutes, students will come up with questions. How global warming is happening? Why is it happening? How can we stop it? What would happen? So they will give me the questions. I will tell them, I will give all your answers in this topic. So now they understood what all things are required to learn about global warming. So they will only come up with the question. So this question game kind of things can be helping teachers also during the teaching methodology. It won't take much time also. Whenever we are introducing the topic to a student, we just give 5 minutes of the time. So what are things you want to learn about this topic? Just write your question. I'm not asking, I will give the answer. You don't worry. You what you want to learn about this topic. Just write your question and give it to me. I will answer. Now a student is getting what he wants to know in that class, in the same class, about the topic, and he will be very much interested because I am answering this question personally. I'm not answering to the whole crowd. In a way, I'm answering his question personally. I'm addressing all the crowd also, where a student is more involved and a student will show more interest and more encouraged to learn about the topic. That's the main way we can, increase the curiosity quotient in the classrooms. But age-wise, I don't think how we can rectify this problem, because during as we age, we lose some kind of curiosity. Very little amount of students or little amount of people maintain the curiosity to learn about what's happening around them and what's happening in their surroundings and all. For example, if a curious student is there, for sure I can say he will be successful, because all the great minds today, they question everything. The best way of learning will happen through questioning. So, for example, anything, any achievement that happened today, how he achieved it, can anybody question it? Suppose somebody achieved a Nobel Prize. Any student here, they will try to remember his name, because that might be useful for their GK or general knowledge. But as a curious student, you should question it. Why he achieved the Nobel Prize? What he did actually? You should have the curiosity in your life. Everything you find out your own topic which you are interested, that will be easy to learn things. Once you start questioning, you will do your own research, because the tools are available with us. That's what I suggest to all the students, to maintain the curiosity, picking out the interested topic.
Sir, अभी चल रहा है. अभी चल रहा है सब 5 बजे तक है। मैंने चेयरमैन सर को लिख के भेजा है कि अलाउ मी टू कम बाय। हाँ जी छुट्टी।
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Sudhir. I think I would like to ask Ms. Pooja about the various CQ is something that we are today discussing. We've already discussed IQs. And ma'am, could you please mute yourself? IQ and EQs. So, Ms. Pooja, what do you have to say about the curiosity quotient?
So I believe, ma'am, that curiosity quotient for a teacher, if we intend to increase that amongst our students, the first thing is that we should be curious ourselves. In any case, the CBSE has, with this NEP now coming up, interdisciplinary approach is encouraged. So that means I can't restrict myself only to the subject domain that I have studied or I am teaching. Probably going beyond our existing pool of knowledge, linking it to certain things that we don't know. So probably even amongst our children, there are certain things that they know, certain things that they don't know, starting from the known and then gradually taking them to the unknown, or maybe the other way around, bombarding them with unknown questions and then trying to link it with the knowledge that they already possess. These are certain things which I believe can help in increasing the curiosity. I completely agree with Mr. Sudhir that games or quizzes or puzzles, these are fantastic ways of, depending upon the age group, depending upon the subject or the topic to be delivered, these are some beautiful techniques that a teacher can intelligently incorporate in certain topics which they are discussing in the class. I don't know, many people may disagree with me, but I think that sometimes even controversy creates a lot of curiosity. So I can contradict a point made in my class by some student, and it will definitely turn out to be a good debate. So even that can be one of the intelligently used tools, not very frequently, but sometimes. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very well said that even controversy creates curiosity, and that's very important. One that what Sudhir said was to question the set narratives. It's very important to question everything before we accept. That is where the element of curiosity begins. Is there any measure, Sudhir, where we can measure students' curiosity building or curiosity quotient? Can we measure students' curiosity?
No, ma'am. It's not a small measuring technique is there for curiosity, because a student can be curious in various perspectives. Because I like conspiracy theories more than action news, because that's my curiosity. Because if somebody said they landed on the moon, means I will first search, did they really land on the moon? So there is no stopping now. There is no assessment kind of thing. How much curious they are, because it's out of the box thinking. Actually, saying, so somebody achieved a solution to it, so he should be curious. Why not this way is the best way? So it can't be judged or it can't be measured in a single way. But by the way they are approaching the problem can be easily looked upon, or by the way they are coming up or arriving at a solution can be looked upon. That's the only way we can actually measure curiosity, how much interest is shown in that, like that.
So till now, we don't have a measurable, like we can measure the intelligence quotient. We cannot measure the curiosity quotient. We can just say that this child is more curious and this child is less curious.
There is no single trait like that, actually. You can say, because he's showing this trait, this people curious, because he has his own topics of interest. He will be curious in them. So that's the way. So you can't say if he's not academically curious, means he's not at all curious. You can't say that. He might be curious in other topics, because as they age, they find their own interest. They find their own subject they like, or anything, any environment they like. They will be curious more about in them. So that's right.
Thank you so much. My next question is to Gosha ma'am. Ma'am, what is that advice that you would like to give to our educators to incorporate the, without being skeptical to incorporate inquiry-based learning in the curriculum, because it is, I'm sure, going to be the order of the new era, because skills like critical thinking, collaboration, these will be reigning supreme. So what is that piece of advice or some tips that you would like to share with the educators? Is Ms. Gosha there?
Gosha ma'am, you are mute.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah.
now you're on.
Thank you. Thank you. Though I myself, I am in a process of learning, but then in this entire process of learning, one gets to, learn things which I would definitely want to share as a tip. My tip to the educators would be, firstly, integrating into the curriculum is in one's own hand. One need not be using a particular pedagogical instrument for every chapter. Secondly, children, when they are given this, when they are exposed to this inquiry-based learning, it goes a long way for them, because we are initiating them into the problems of future. We, right now, if we initiate them into an unknown arena, through, of course, our support and guided instructions, and they get the hang of finding solutions, they get the hang of researching for questions which they do not know, in the years to come and in the future, it is a life skill actually that we're giving them. So my only tip would be that, one, we need to inculcate this inquiry-based learning, though at a smaller scale in the beginning, but then when we get the hang of it, we can, expand it to expand it and spread it more. And we should not just we should not just leave it because it is not possible. When we started with art integration, experiential learning, project-based learning, these were the kind of apprehensions that even as a teacher myself we had. But then coming to inquiry-based learning, it's a pedagogical practice where the child gets confident, where the child is able to face the unknown fears, where the child is able to, maneuver his or her way for a particular problem or a question or a lesson or a topic. So I feel it's a very, as a tool, it's a very wholesome tool for a child to live a life, learning learning the method of problem solving throughout, and becoming very successful in life as such. Marks, as you said, there is no parameter to measure the curiosity. And as Sir said, we need not, because a person who's curious is curious, and whatever questions he's into, he's curious enough. हमारे लिए इतना ही काफी है. But though we cannot measure curiosity, but any child who's exposed to this inquiry-based learning will definitely come out with something new. That is more than enough. And this particular way of learning will definitely churn out, as I would use ma'am's word, churn out citizens who are more oriented to face challenges through this pattern which we are to which the pattern which we introduce during their learning years. Actually, we are training them for life. So we must not get away with this. We must not leave this method. But yes, we need to have a very sound lesson plan and a very sound way of introducing it to the children. It cannot be over the syllabus. It cannot be, totally left. We'll have to mediate and we'll have to coordinate our way of teaching so that they are exposed somewhere during the entire academic year for some lessons through this inquiry-based learning.
Great. Thank you very much, ma'am. It's very important, as you rightly said, for educators, we need to go beyond the call of our duty. It's not about, finishing a curriculum. It's about creating thinking and compassionate citizens who can take the challenges of life and become, lifelong learners, and are able to, you know, use their education to deal with the challenges that life throws at them. Thank you so much, ma'am. My next question is to Vaman. Vaman, tell me one thing, that most of the time when you are all are given projects, how do you do it? Do you just straight away Google it up? And there are sites, I believe, which already have those ready-made projects. Doesn't this hamper the development of
Hello.
research
Yes,
skills?
sir.
Of course, sometimes sometimes we can take help of Google and other search engines, but mostly we should try to do the project ourselves. According to me, the project-based learning projects are given by teachers to us because it helps us in many ways, like to develop skills like critical thinking, creativity. If it's a group activity, it improves communication skills and decision making and more things like this. So, as we see in recent times like COVID, we took a lot of help from Google and other search engines. And there are many advantages of this mode of learning too. But apart from the advantages, there are some disadvantages too. Like this can make children antisocial because they can lose their communication skills. And the other aspect is addiction to the internet. Like there are other OTT platforms and like Netflix, YouTube, it attracts and it's addiction. So, and the other thing is like it can cause for spending more time on the phones and laptops, it can cause various body aches and eyesight can also be damaged. So, and the advantages of this kind of learning is that children can share their ideas to each other and it improves your research skills and creativity skills too. And children can also grab latest information through the internet. So what I see is using internet in projects that we get from the school has its own disadvantages and advantages. But if the internet is used correctly, it can provide you long life learning skills.
Great. Thank you so much, Vaman. Ronit, I want you to elaborate on this, that, often creativity is not appreciated. How much is it appreciated in your, I wouldn't say school, amongst your class group, when, being creative means you have to go beyond the textbooks. You are then innovative. You are thinking critically. You are questioning the set patterns. So, if I'm creative, how accepted I am in the classrooms.
Yeah,
Ronit?
yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, being creative is not a sin. And I think preferably in my class, no one just says, actually, I am also a creative person. I most probably when I actually love maths and science a lot. So whenever I ask my teachers maths and the science questions, yes, the same problem which you start discussed in the starting, that is it a problem to ask them in between? Yes, I think that is kind of a cause that disturbs the curriculum of the class. Otherwise, ending it asking the question in the end is a bit better. And I must say that I have the stars to being creative. That is really good for me. Because creativity, it's just at a different level. Yes, it has to go beyond the books, but it is combined with the learning and reading. Like for the same, the government has the NEP, the new education policy, which was introduced by the government. It also encourages the students to learn, use their creativity in learning and writing so that they can change their daily life and make their daily routine a better one. And in this modern era, I don't think that creativity is separated from learning and writing. So, for a great example, I would take our former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He used his creativity to read and learn more about physics. And this creativity of his led him to knowledge. And that knowledge led him to curiosity. And curiosity invoked inquiry, which finally led in making him the missile man of India. And this tells that if you are curious is the right way that we can easily change the world too. And this is also a great example of inquiry based learning, which is the leading topic of our today's discussion. I would also suggest to go through a book, Chanakya in the Classroom by Radhakrishnan Pillai. I also read this book and I found it very interesting, and it provides a person with the answers that how can you use your creativity in your studies. And to conclude with, I would like to take the quote of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam that learning gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking, and thinking leads to the knowledge, and knowledge makes you great. Thank you, ma'am.
Great, very well said. Very well said. And I'm very happy that you all are very aware about being, about the curiosity and understand, to go beyond the textbooks. We have our, one of our panelists, Mr. Sudhir Katumala, is constantly dealing with students of this age group. So, Sudhir, what is it that these students who are on the threshold of choosing a college and going to be in a different institution in another a year or a 2 or a 3, what is your message to these students? One last statement, what would it be? I'll begin with you. Yes, Sudhir.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for asking that question. See, I can suggest one thing. You should choose a career entirely based on passion. So that I can say, passion matters the most. Why? Because not everyone who are successful. The example which you gave, I think, who is a last panelist, I think. So the APJ Abdul Kalam, he's not the topper. He is successful because of his skills. Okay, today's skills matters the most. And to acquire skills, your learning should be joyous. Like your learning should not be a burden to you. If it's a burden to you, you won't enjoy learning new things. So make learning more a fun activity. So how it happens is once you choose your passionate subject, it's all correlated. Okay, this is what I'll suggest because at your age there are people who take career advice. For example, if you feel sick, what you do, you just go to a doctor and get the treatment. But lot of people at your age, what they do while making a career decision, they will take a decision from their relative's kid who is studying or their neighbor's kid who is doing a particular job in that field. They won't go to a people who are certified and all. I suggest you take suggestions. It's a career decision, it's for life. So put some effort in that and start researching about all the possibilities that are there. Exploring about all the things that are available to you is very much vital because you don't go to straight away to the restaurant and tell them, give me the dish. First, you look at the menu, what is available, then only you order the dish. So at your age, you have lots of opportunities, new age careers that are there. Look at the menu first, find out how much it is feasible for you to meet, how much you can eat, because the effort taken to reach some careers is different. Doing engineering in IIT is different. Doing engineering in a regional college is different. So find out the effort. Can you put that effort to reach? Then choose your career. Because now it's easy. I'll give you one advice. It's easy for you because all your teachers might be forcing you to sit now. Not all of you might be interested. All your parents will force you to study. All of you will be hand-holding you now because you are at that age. People will be forcing you to study, making you attend a lot of things. But once you enter into higher education, it's a different scenario. It's entirely dependent on you. Nobody will come and say help you. They won't ask you what is the problem, beta. Kya ho raha hai? Nobody will ask you. It's entirely in your hands. You need to take the initiative. You need to have the self-discipline. You need to do the hard work, and you need to have the dedication. That's what my suggestion to all of you. Work hard, enjoy learning. So keep this energy, interest in all the things. That's what I want to convey to all. Thank you.
Very well said. Very great suggestion. Great suggestion. Somebody's written it also. Good suggestion. What will be your suggestions, Miss Pooja, to our student viewers today and to the educators, whichever you would want to choose?
I think whatever I say is effectively applicable to both the groups, because we are not only teachers, we are learners as well. So I think I'll come down to the immediate milestone which our student viewers here will be reaching, that is their board exams very soon. Apart from whatever discussion we've had about the inquiry-based or curiosity-based learning, even the CBSE is now encouraging it. As a part of testing the critical thinking, we have case-based questions in almost every subject of class 12th. We have higher order thinking questions in both 10th and 12th. Now, both these types of questions, or the competency-based questions, the purpose of framing such questions is that we move away from the rote learning and go to the conceptual clarity and understanding of the concepts. Now, this is exactly what is sought when we are discussing a topic like inquiry-based learning. It is just learning is one part of giving an assessment, is evaluating whether that curiosity thing fulfilled the objective. So I think with this long-term retention would also be possible if we are able to encourage. It's not just about asking questions. It is about, intending to know more, a quest of more knowledge, trying to go beyond what is structured curriculum given to me in my hand. So this is probably one thing wherein both students and teachers I'd like to focus on. And before I say bye and conclude for my term, I have one last question. I can't go without asking a question. I request all the audience to punch in the answer in the chat box. Today is 4th of November. Please tell me, why is it important for India? And a hint, it is important only since 2017. Please tell me, why is the day important for us? Thanks.
Great. That was very nice of you to have this engaging conversation. Thank you, Pooja ma'am. Yes, by the time the audience punch in the questions, the answer to the question which Pooja ma'am has asked, can we have Gosha ma'am answer, what would be her message to our audience today on the topic?
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you for your question, ma'am. My message to the audience sitting out there, the youngsters and we as learners, would be only one thing. A child who has come to an educator or a teacher to learn, it's just not the ability to learn and write and produce on the paper. Today's child needs to be groomed in a much more fuller way. And just to quote an example, the threats that the world is facing today in the name of, let us say, environmental degradation, or let us say civil war, or let us say health epidemics. These are the situations that are threatening the security of every individual and, impacting every life. But in the end, if one were to analyze and see, though everybody is facing these situations in a very common way, the ones who are able to, find their way out, or they have that problem solving culture in their, life, or the ones who are, creative enough to think out a way, these are the kind of people, these are the kind of youngsters, these are the kind of teachers, everybody who scale out of it, who come out of it very successfully. So just a last kind of on a last note, whatever teaching or learning takes place in a school, go beyond it. A teacher might be limited because of her curriculum and her other duties, but then there is no limit to the time that a child can spend on his or her inquiry. There is no limit to what a child can do with the time that he has or she has on her hands. And if this message goes deep into the youngsters who are listening, I'm sure they'll not wait for the curriculum to give out this kind of an experience to them. They'll initiate themselves, themselves, and they'll kind of uh, enjoy the learning, and they'll be quite prepared for what the life has for them in store in future. So don't wait, just go beyond your textbooks.
Great.
And
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Since we've already exceeded our time, and thank you for gracing this discussion and igniting awareness for igniting curiosity-based learning. In the words of Bernard Baruch, millions saw the apple fall, but Newton asked why. To question the basic narratives of the world, whatever our beliefs are, to connect the past developments with the present concerns, and not to be afraid of controversial issues. This is my tip to our student viewers today. Well, yes, inquiry-based teaching method, we heard a lot of insights and great inputs from our panelists regarding the curiosity-based learning techniques. Curiosity-based learning will remain the order of the future of the world, because the world will hinge on critical thinking, collaboration, communication. So as Ms. Gosha rightly said, don't restrict yourself with the textbooks, with the curriculums. Your teachers might be restricted, and I quote her, with the limits of curriculum, but as the students, you need to go beyond, you need to break that ice ceiling. Thank you so much for sharing your inputs, our dear panelists. A big round of applause for our student panelists today. And we shall see you soon. We come to the end of this session of today's webinar. We shall see you soon with another newer episode, another new panel, another city, and another set of buzzing youth. Thank you so much, and I shall take your leave today. Team Edudevs, do we have any AV to share? Yes, before we leave, let's look at this AV. Please connect the system's audio. We regret the missing of the sound in the video. And thank you so much, ma'am Gosha. Thank you so much, Pooja ma'am. And thank you so much, Sudhir, for sparing your busy schedule and sharing your insights with our audience.
Thank
and
you.
much love to and blessings to our young panelists. Thank you so much for today. Joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.